is I'm going to share my screen for you so you can actually see where I'm going. And today's reading is going to be a blend between your chart. And then at the back half, I am going to talk about transits and kind of like what's coming so people can see what a natal chart looks like, but then also what a divine timing transit reading looks like. Well, a little bit because we're only going to use transits, but yes. Okay. And you've never had your chart read before.
No.
I love that. So let me share my screen. First off, is there anything specific? I always like to ask that you're like, I really want to know this.
So it looks like I have some planets. I think it's two stelliums, right?
You have your Sag and you have your Cap. Yes.
Yeah. So I wanted to kind of learn a little bit more about that and what that energy kind of means.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. We'll definitely be diving into that.
Okay.
So this is your chart. I want you to imagine, actually, before we start, November 30th, 1984
Mm-hmm.
at 4:17 a.m.
Yes.
Amazing. Always want to check because you have a 29th-degree ascendant. And this is why I'm so excited for your chart. So basically, if you were born like a minute later, your entire chart flips. So that's why it's so important for timing wise, especially when you have an ascendant that close.
Mm.
So I want you to imagine that you were born right here on Earth and you're looking up. And when you were looking up, this is where everything was around you. Now, Western astrology it's not literally where the stars are. It is based off of cycles and seasons and the sun to the earth. And I think a lot of people get confused with that. It's not exactly where the stars were, but it's how Western astrology is. It's sacred geometry. So I just want to name that. And so, yeah, this is what creates your personality. So think about your birth chart as an entire family. Okay. And so the planets are within you, they are your different personality types. So when you're with your mom, you're probably different than when you're with a partner or a best friend, right? You have different parts of yourself that are going to show up in different areas of your life. And the more you can understand your birth chart and understand these parts of you, what they look like, which is the sign they live in, like what is their vibe? How do they express? That's the sign. And then where do they like to express? That's the house. The more you get to work with your energy, not against your energy. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of us, right, we live in a society that we're programmed and they tell us, do X, Y, and Z, and your chart will share that. And I'm sharing that because you're a Libra rising. And when you are a rising sign, whatever your rising sign is really how you approach life. And Libra risings tend to get projected on early that you are the good girl. And oh my God, you're so nice. You're so kind. And it really creates this programming of potentially people pleasing, responding to other people's needs before yourself. Like, I'm wondering how that worked for you in life.
Yes. You're singing to the choir. Yes. That is so, so true.
Yeah. Yeah. Did it start inside your family first? Like, were you the
It did.
peacemaker inside the family?
Yes.
Yeah. That's typically whatever your rising sign is what your family system needed at the time. So it
Mm-hmm.
definitely was your soul's journey down here. But what happened is, yeah, you became learning to respond in a way that pleases, others.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's at the 29th degree. And why this is so important is I want you to think about your first house is all about when your spirit met matter and you were born into the physical reality. And that's why you have a physical body. And that's your first
Mm-hmm.
house, how you look, how people perceive you, all that stuff. But when it's at the 29th degree, this typically means that you have a psychic marker in you. This is an intuitive degree. So early on in life, you were very sensitive and potentially were taking on energy and you didn't know, and you're a Pisces moon, of course. So this, I will get to there in a sec. You didn't always be able to filter what is my energy versus what is other people's energy. And you might have gotten confused when you were younger around that.
Yeah. Yes. And I found that out later on as I became an adult. I've even noticed that and became aware of that as well. So, yes, very much so.
Yeah. And that is something that, when we look to the 29th degree, it's like your soul came down here to be so Libra, but to learn it and to master it because it is a critical degree. And so basically, with a 29th degree, anything, you can struggle sometimes in this area because it can be almost so intense because your soul is like, I'm going to master this shit. So we want to look to where is Venus, the ruler of you in your chart, to understand really where are you taking this energy and honing it. And it is in your fourth house of
Mhm.
Capricorn. So let's talk about your chart ruler. Venus is probably one of the most important planets in your birth chart because it is how you move through this world energetically. And Venus and Cat people are determined as fuck.
Yeah.
You are very determined.
Yes.
You value when you are on a journey of mastery. You love mastering something. You love reaching a goal and being like, I fucking did that. But what can happen is you can be really hard on yourself until you reach that goal. And then when you reach it, you could be like, what I could have done better. Like there's a self worth tied to success. What does that look like in your life?
Um, so growing up, had three other siblings. My dad and my mom split when we were younger. So my mom left actually the family, which is kind of unusual. Um,
Wow.
yeah, so I I almost started at a young age seeing women as like almost the enemy or not safe.
Mm.
Had a lot of self-abandonment issues. Later
Mhm.
on that showed up in my 20s too, and we have a similar story with I think how I think our Pisces energy can kind of be toxic sometimes. So
Mhm.
I definitely self-sabotaged a lot. But I didn't want to become a mother or a wife in my early 20s. And that was a really scary thing for me because I felt like if I stepped into these roles, potentially I could hurt somebody along the way. Children, if I had children, I would hurt children like I
Mm.
was hurt in the divorce. So it just it became a whole thing. And even when I was dating, I was like, I don't want to get married. I don't want to have kids. And I kind of stuck by that until I met my husband. I've been with my husband for like 20 years in this November, and I had a kid with him too. And I didn't think I was going to step into these roles. But when you like meet the right person,
Yep.
when it's like,
Oh.
so I think stepping into these roles as a wife and mother have been huge for me. And it's like my son is going to be 17 this year. And I don't know, like I just feel I it was like I was always supposed to be a mom.
Yep.
I was always supposed to be a mom. I was always supposed to be in these roles. But like because of my upbringing, I thought I was not worthy of these roles. So
Mm. Mhm.
that's kind of my experience.
Yeah, 100%. That Capricorn, because the fourth house is really your emotional home environment growing up. And it
Mhm.
sounds like you had to grow up early. Like you had to take
Yes.
on a lot of responsibility and in turn kind of became that Venus like weight on your shoulders. And then Jupiter's there and it created these beliefs because Jupiter really is your internal beliefs of like, what is a mom? And do I want to be that? No, right? Like it kind of got a little bit more of the shadow aspect and that was
Mhm.
your karma, of course. Cause then you realized, oh my God, like I can do this and I do desire this. Has it been like being a mom with you having all that Capricorn? Like, have you really been that like resilient, steadfast parent for your kiddo?
Yes. And you know what? Like the reason why I started following your content is because you kind of step into parenting with astrology as well. And I was like, really, that really intrigued me is like learning my son's chart and kind of stepping into being a parent. How can I parent him the best I can with all of his, you know, uh, chart rulers and all his planets and all that?
Yeah.
And how can I best help him in that way? So yes, in the beginning it was very I was a very like a helicopter mom a little bit, I will say that, and then I've stepped back because I know that he needs a little bit more independence, and I've kind of like, okay, yes. So as he's gradually gotten older, I've stepped back. It's been hard, but I step back as much as I can to let him, step into his own independence as well and be the best
Yeah.
version of him.
And I always see that when Libra risings, because you have Capricorn and Aquarius ruling your fourth and fifth house, which is really going to tell us how you parent along with your moon. So, like, we know you're very intuitive and connected with your kiddo, but there's a Saturnian, like, okay, let's do this. And you were, that can come as a helicopter parent because you are that steadfast and you see what they need to do. So you can kind of over parent sometimes, but then you step back and realize, oh, boundaries, which is also Saturn.
Yeah. And
Um,
funny enough, he's a Libra sun and he's a Pisces moon, Capricorn rising.
oh my God, I love that. You guys are
Yeah,
so compatible.
I know. He's
Wow. I love that. And that really, I was curious because you have Mars here, right? When you said you have kid, I was like, I wonder if it's a male because
yep.
Mars in the fifth house, first children is the fifth house. And if there's a planet there, it represents him. Is he someone who is very innovative and kind of like progressive and kind of sees the vision of humanity in that way?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh God, he's I know we're biased when we have our own kids. We're like they're the best thing. But he even in his teenage years, he's just so he's
Yeah.
a breeze. He's an absolute breeze.
Oh, that's amazing.
Amazing kid.
Oh, I love that. And I
Yeah.
think one thing I kind of want to point out is like you have Neptune at 0 degrees in the fourth house. And this is also another psychic marker because Neptune is the planet of unity consciousness. When we talk about like Christ consciousness is coming back and we are realizing that we're all interconnected, all that, that's what Neptune represents in the zodiac. And what happens is when you're born, you forget that you are a spiritual being and you become infiltrated into the human experience and the illusion of the 3D. And so when Neptune, whatever sign it's in, so for you, it's Capricorn in your fourth house, you chameleon into this part of your chart to feel connected. So when it's in your fourth house, it's telling me that early on, you really did become in these traditional familial roles and kind of blurred into that Capricorn energy. Like, I have to be responsible, I have to do these things, and
Mhm.
really became that Saturnian authority for yourself. But as you age, and especially right now, because in the sky, if we click on here, Neptune is squaring your Neptune right now. So it's challenging it. This is a
Oh,
really big part of life. You're recognizing, whoa, like that wasn't me. I was programmed from the patriarchy. I was programmed by these systems. And you're waking up to your intuitive gifts and realizing that, like, you survived those systems and you can create new systems for the collective. Does that make sense?
yeah. Yeah.
And so I don't know if recently you've been feeling any like intuitive hits or you feel like you're really deconstructing things, but you're here to help this society since it is a collective planet. You're here to lay roots down, whether it's through parenting, whether it's through close relationships, your family, your ancestors. There's something here that you're here to grow new systems for humanity. So I was curious of like what you've been kind of focusing on right now in life.
um so lately, and this kind of happened towards the end of January, and I think this is kind of as I was following the astrology too, I think it's when Aries went, I can't remember where, but something at the end of January, and I
Yeah,
can't remember.
Neptune moved to Aries January 26th, I think.
Yeah, yes.
Yep.
And I had this I was following I think somebody who was doing like I think it was like bone casting or something like that. But then she
Mhm.
had like charms and stuff. So I was like, it'd be cool if I can just really hone in on like my intuition with just charm casting, with like just charms. Because my mind, I think so many and I think so much in like patterns and symbols. I'm like, what if I just like hone in on that and develop my intuition a little bit more, get it stronger. And that's what I've been working on the past couple months is learning charm casting and trying to develop my intuition. And it's been like pretty amazing and pretty fun.
I
So,
love that. Okay, so that was literally right when Neptune, moved into Aries and it started squaring it. And what's crazy
mhm,
about you talking about like how you see things, how you think, we're going to
mhm,
move to Mercury at 29 degrees. So, this is why I know you're highly intuitive. So, rising, when something happens in your chart 3 times, I call it the rule of 3.
Mhm.
It is a life mission. It is a life lesson in your chart, and it's predominant in your life. So rising at 29 degrees, it's sextiling, and a sextile means that these are supporting. So Mercury is supporting your rising. And what
Mhm.
that does is you're only aware of a sextile, or you can only, not that you can only use it, but you use sextiles when you become conscious of them. So right now I'm about to tell you this gift is Mercury at 29 degrees is actually a little bit more difficult for 2 reasons. One, Mercury is home in Gemini. It likes logic, it likes linear aspects. Sagittarius is broad, it's big picture. So Mercury feels a little uncomfortable. It's the opposite sign. So it isn't healthy, quote unquote, in traditional astrology. But to me, what happens is it's actually one of your greatest gifts. And so while maybe growing up you felt like I over explain, or I have to like, I think too broad and I don't know how to hone in, that is what you're here to realize, or you're too direct. People might have been like, whoa, like you say it too much, too direct, too Sagittarius, like blunt in your face. And that is a gift that you're meant to hone. Now you layer it with the fact that it's at 29 degrees,
Mhm.
and that is a critical degree. It's a crisis degree, that this will be a prominent issue growing up until you realize, like, oh no, I need this and I use this. And since it's sextiling your rising, that's telling me that your mind, how you communicate, how you see things, it's all happening in your third house, is actually exactly what you're here to provide to people. So like you room, like, because you're going to be such a direct practitioner. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. I tell my sister is I have an older sister, and I tell her like this, the way that I think, the way that I like put things together, like even within our family system and how there's family patterns and things. And like honestly, in my head, it's like red string and tacks and sticky notes all over the place. Like I don't, everything is going like this, like a
Mhm.
conspiracy theorist or something. It's like it's it gets crazy up here. Like, honestly, the way that I see things and patterns and stuff, I'm just like, I don't know. I can't it's hard to hone in
Mhm.
on things because I see things so differently.
100%. And that's what I would really want you to actually lean into, is this was a gift that your soul's like, I'm going to make you work for this. Cuz 29-degree planets in detriment, like they're not always easy, of course, but when you can learn that they weren't, that those hardships were actually honing a gift, then you start using it. So since it's in your third house, these are third house themes are, yes, how you have been, how you've learned growing up, and the environment you were around. So like K through 12, right? We, depending on what environment you're in, you think logically very differently than someone else in another culture.
Mm.
Also, you want to think about your daily habits. Like, what are you doing every single day to hone this? So if you know mentally it can get like, it's beautiful, but it can get chaotic.
Mhm.
Doing rituals around, like, okay, let me clear this, let me do this. So then you can paint that picture and use it. Am I making sense for you?
Yes,
Sometimes.
I do grounding meditation. I do journaling, so much journaling. Like I'm almost done with my second journal. And yeah, I've been also doing the charm casting, which is kind of like helping me hone in on different things that's happening presently. So yes.
Okay, love it. And
Yes.
your sun is also in the third house and it's right on top of Uranus. Okay. Well, within a few degrees, but still, this is a conjunction. And so, first off, your spirit is very Sagittarius. Like you came down here. What I like to think about our sun sign is it's what our soul wants to be known for. It's the archetype that we want people to see us as and be like, yes. And so, a Sagittarius is someone who at its core is curious about consciousness, about how this universe works. You want to know, you want to learn. You're like, give me more, more, more. And you want to learn through, yes, courses and books, but really lived experience. You really want to be out there and talking to people and being like, oh, your culture does that. Oh, your culture does that. Let me paint, let me connect all the things like your Mercury likes to do to really understand your own truth, because what Sagittarius know is everything is true in this reality. It's just your own perspective. The highest vibration of Sagittarius. The shadow can be actually you're too attached to your beliefs, or you're too dogmatic and you get like very tense in it. But with Uranus there, I feel like you're easily able to be like, whoa, that's so cool. Now I see it this way. And you can like kind of be a little bit more mutable with that.
Yes. I found as I've gotten older, the way that I think has definitely changed, and my spiritual awakening journey is immensely changed so much in the past couple of years. It's been insane.
Yeah. It's like Uranus is kind of like shocking you and just like, "Woo, woo, okay."
Mhm.
And since the sun, yes, it's your spirit, it's also our individuality in this lifetime. So it also represents our ego. It is how we have built defense mechanisms around us to keep us safe. And so sometimes being a Sag, though their default mode is you know things. And so you're like, "Well, I know it's this." And so you want to be mindful of always thinking that your perspective is right or that you know it. So it has to be true because that is an ego defense that you might engage in. And then Uranus kind of comes and kind of potentially, whether it's an event, whether it's something you read, kind of just, and your ego's like, oh, wow, I have to look in the mirror. Or I have to let that go because it shocks you awake, that ego.
Mhm. Oh, yes.
And your moon is squaring your sun. And so this does create a tension from your conscious self, the sun, to your subconscious self, the moon. So internally, that is the moon, your subconscious response to life. This is the automatic stuff that started from a very, very young age that we don't really even remember when our moon was really turned on. And so, being a Pisces moon, you are very sensitive to energy just naturally because Pisces rules interconnectedness. It does rule the energy. And so your moon there, how you respond is being interconnected and feeling the energy. And this is likely because your mother, when you were born, typically has to do with the mom, your lineage, either it can express two ways, very much avoided and was like disassociated through the first few years. And so you weren't able to fully feel nurtured and didn't understand these gifts that you had, and it kept you very open or it kept you very actually disassociated or like disconnected. And so your journey of this lifetime is coming back to your moon, learning how to regulate all the energy, all the sensitivity, and then using it every day because it's in your sixth house to connect to something greater. But it's a journey with the Pisces moon because either your mom was enmeshed with you and shared too much, but you just shared that your mom wasn't actually around, which means you probably didn't learn boundaries, feminine
Mhm.
things.
Mhm. Mhm.
What age did your mom leave?
8 years old. And my sister, she's 9. So, like, my sister and we have, so I was raised Mormon. Um, my dad
Whoa.
converted for my mom. And, so she had, like, kid after kid. So, like, my sister and I are Irish twins, and my 2 younger brothers are also Irish twins.
Whoa.
So, yeah, and then she decided she was gonna leave the religion and leave us. So, but
Wow.
it's been a wild ride because I'm I can't imagine myself any other way now because it was like it was supposed to happen this way. It was always supposed to happen this way. And I think of it more as a blessing than I do as like a victim. You know what I mean? Like the way that my mom didn't show up for me, I can show up now for my son in the best way, in a healthier way. And
Yeah.
yes, my mom, she does disassociate. She goes into different religions, different religions, different religions. She's still kind of a mess, but I
Yeah.
mean, she's on her own path too.
100%. And this is the thing about your moon sign is like it's your attachment early on in life, but it really signals what is your mom moving through. And so your mom is very much in the shadow of Pisces, is trying to find something like greater. She wants that connection. And so she's
Mhm,
going to all these religions externally to fulfill something that's internal. And what's so beautiful about you is this could have sent you down a very different path to be the victim to, and that is the shadow of Pisces as well, of like this happened to me, and you reinforce those patterns, but instead you've used it to accept. And I think that's why I love astrology is people have asked me like, well, why is it more effective than therapy? And I was like, well, it is therapeutic in a way, but it leads you to acceptance of your trauma quicker because you kind of see this was written, like this is the
mhm.
script, and you chose to allow this script to express in a very different way than it could have.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
And I really feel like that's your stelliums. So when you come back, you're like, okay, what are these stelliums meaning? Well, that stellium in Capricorn, first off, is if the fourth house was you, it's your emotional rooting, it's how you were raised, it's your emotional climate, but then also what you're bringing up and what you need in life. Capricorn needs stability. Capricorn is all around this long term stability and authority and mastery. And so, as an adult, you are someone that when you, and your chart ruler's there, and Jupiter's there, which is expanding this energy. When you have a goal to be a better mom, to show up for your kid, you are gonna make that happen because that stellium is a big part of your energy. Now, I would say this is like your kitchen in your house. The other stellium, the Sagittarius, this is like your master bedroom. This is where you sleep and you eat. So this, or you sleep and you get ready and everything. So you're in your master bedroom a lot more than anywhere else in our house, right? So
Mhm.
Sagittarius understanding this world and then communicating it to people is your core thing that you are here to really work on. Everything in your chart we'll get to more around how you're going to do that. But think about Sagittarius archetype, third house, sharing, teaching, really being that spiritual philosopher is a massive part of that stellium and the work that you want to do in this lifetime.
Mm.
And you'll do it because of the stellium and Cap. So I'm curious because your Mars is in Aquarius in your fifth house of creation. So right off that, I was like, okay, well, you love the vision. You love being innovative. You love creating new ways to think about things, new systems, and your mind does that. You're a pattern recognition person. What is there a passion here to share something that might be a little different than maybe the typical patriarchal society for you, like long term?
Pff, yeah, maybe. I mean, I would like to step into that. Um, I don't, again, it's like trying to hone in what that exactly is.
So so we'll kind of run here. So your MC in your birth chart is really where your soul is like, I'm going to come down and be known for this thing. But to
Hmm.
access your MC, you got to heal the IC, which is like a lot of the programming from early on in life. And it
Hmm.
was yours is in Aquarius because your MC is in Leo. So it's always in the opposite sign at the exact opposite degree. And so potentially growing up, there was detachment. There was intellectualization of your emotions, even though you're very much a Pisces moon, you're having to integrate all of this of like the childhood programming and the healing. And when you feel like you have a really good foundation, you rise above to your MC. And your MC is in Leo in your 11th house of groups of people and networks. And
Hmm.
Leo, the archetype is the actor. So your soul came down here and was like, well, I am going to be known. I am going to be seen for two reasons. One, you have your sun in Sag. And two, you have your MC in Leo and they're speaking. They're within 4 degrees. They're like supporting one another. Then you have your Mercury sextiling your rising, which told me when I read your chart, I was like, oh my God, this person is meant to be seen and to share whatever. I didn't know what at the time, if you like what you were exactly doing, but like, okay, you're charming, you're doing these things. And I'm like, oh, this is meant to be shared beyond just like you and your friends because the
Hmm.
MC's in the 11th.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And the barriers that might come up for you with that is your Chiron is in Gemini and it's retrograding. And so your
Yes.
Chiron is the wound you're holding. It's not a part of you. It's just a wound that you've experienced. And throughout your life, we're supposed to like, it's called the wounded healer because as you heal the wound, that journey of it, you then become, oh my God, this is my medicine for people. So if it's in Gemini, there's probably this wound that I'm not smart enough. No one's going to listen to me. Can I articulate this? And you have your Mercury, right, in its detriment. So it's like, this is why potentially like your voice might be scary, but that's also why it's the exact thing that you're meant to do. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes. I grew up with a learning disability. So, that totally does make sense.
Yep.
Mhm.
So many people with it's so interesting. And it's in the ninth house of your beliefs, of higher learning. And I'm
Mhm.
wondering with your disability, like, were you really gifted at certain things and like maybe other things were harder?
Yes. Like, if I was really interested in it, like, I excelled in English, like, writing, creative writing, art, like, those were my jam. Like, I excelled in those. But, like, math, science, history, like, just did not interest me. It interests me now as I get older, but, like, at the time when I was younger, didn't interest me at all. So
Mhm,
I could not absorb and retain the information. It was really difficult for me when I was younger.
mhm. And that's what I would say with Mercury Sag 29 degree and your Chiron Gemini is kind of layering why it was so difficult. But then I loved how you're naming, like, as I'm aging, it's actually history, right? Like, it's coming back to that Sag third house. So, like,
Yeah.
wait, the pattern of society and wars, it's all the same thing. And I think as you're spiritually awakening, because you're so good at pattern recognition, the history point is now interesting. It's now a
Yeah.
passion. You can
Yeah.
connect it all.
Really interesting.
Mhm. So I would work with that ninth house Chiron retrograde. It's also retrograding, so it's like a little bit harder to work with because it's very karmic, it's very ingrained in you. But the
Mhm.
more that you know that people will be interested in what you have to say. And I love that you're like, yeah, it's really good at creative writing. That's your moon in Pisces, squaring your Chiron. Like your emotions really create for you. And if you allow that, you allow your emotions and your creativity to flow through you, that's what wants to be shared. So we want to
Mm.
integrate that moon because it's called a T square. It's not popping up on here because they don't create aspects to Chiron, but basically your sun is opposing your Chiron. And so the ego's getting hit. It's like projected on the ego of like, you're not smart enough, for through the learning disability and all that. But then it's squaring the moon as well. So the moon is actually the planet we want to work with to access the sun and Chiron. So it's telling
Mm.
me that your moon, your intuition, your creative pursuits internally, and how you process your emotions are the exact way that your sun can express and the medicine you need for this world. People need your creativity. They need your emotional experiences shared with the intellectual.
Mm. Wow. Lauren, you're blowing my mind right now.
Oh, good. Well, and that's why I'm
Mm.
like, okay. So what that's telling me, the other part I would say, because how I like to do a chart reading is like, we start to get to know your energy and then we get to the purpose and then we get to what's blocking your purpose, right? So now we know Chiron. We know that that's wound. We know the emotional boundaries and trusting your intuition. That's the shadow of a moon in Pisces. It's like, can I trust myself? Really anchoring into that. And then you have Pluto within 4 degrees of your ascendant. Pluto tends to be where we experienced trauma. And it's because I like to think about it as our soul's trauma. The collective, everyone who came down with Pluto and Scorpio collectively has a soul remembrance trauma of abandonment and manipulation and power dynamics and abuse. And so when that is close to something so personal like an ascendant,
Mhm.
you're feeling your trauma in your body. There is a lot of potentially things that might have actually physically happened to you, but there's this heaviness to you in the body. And maybe someone actually took power over you. And that Libra was like, okay, like more of that fawn response. And so in this lifetime, that experience, whatever did happen, you're here to alchemize, which is what Scorpio represents, and Pluto. Realize, like, whoa, that happened, but now I'm stronger because of it. And it's in your second house. And Saturn, we're going to get to Saturn and South Node in a second, but that's telling me that your pain and what you experienced is meant to be alchemized and it's actually meant to make you money. And
Oh.
so, resources, value things. And it doesn't have to be money. It could just be, it's understanding your value. It's understanding,
Mhm.
wow, I went through these really hard things in life, but that doesn't define me because I'm powerful. And ultimately, I think your story of what you have to share and that power of how you got out of it is what people like, what gains you resources.
Mm. Wow.
Do you write?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I journal.
I feel like there's like a writing thing here. I feel like there is a level of a blog being formed or something like that where you start just allowing that Mercury to go and just
Mhm.
really creative and letting it unfold as you go. and
Mhm.
letting that moon really guide of like, okay, today I'm talking about, politics, tomorrow I'm doing a fantasy, and see in your body what is like being pulled. Because I think there's something here around your create like it's your mind, right? Because like that's coming back to that, but it's also the ability to like move that energy through you.
Mm, yes. And what really sparked my spiritual awakening a couple years ago is I got read by a medium, channeled my dad. My dad passed 7 years ago, um, and I was able to connect with him. But she does like a little psychic reading in the beginning, and she's saying you need to connect in with your body because that's one of your that's part of your journey is really connecting in with your body. And that's interesting that you say that.
Your moon in the sixth.
Mhm.
Because it's so easy for your Pisces moons, especially in the sixth house, to almost just like float away, to like
Mhm.
kind of live up here, live in the realm, live in the
Yeah.
dreaminess. And you're here to anchor that.
Yeah. And she's like, that's why grounding is going to be so important in your journey too. That's why I do grounding meditation daily because it helps me a lot.
Oh, I
Just to
love when
feel
people
into my
describe.
body. Yeah.
100%, because that sixth house, like, sixth house is the things you have to do. Third house are your daily habits, and this is what people get confused about. That's why I was like, daily, you wanna be doing things to clear the mind and to learn and to really let that sun shine. But, like,
Mhm.
the sixth house is what do you literally have to do to survive? And for you, with the moon and Pisces there, you have to ground every day, or else you will become like unwell. Like you will feel that, like the energy stagnation, the just uncomfortability, the heaviness, and then it can slip into that shadow of Pisces, whether it's victim, shadowy, disassociated, whatever that is. And so it's so interesting that you say that because you're like, she said every day because that is what you almost have to do.
Winter is so difficult because it's cold and or if there's snow or if it's raining and it's cold, like it's harder to get out there and ground. So like winter is like the hardest time for me. So when you said stagnant, that's exactly how I feel. Like it just feels just ugh in my body, just too much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because the energy's like building.
Yeah.
So it would be like maybe waking up and dancing
I
during the winter.
do I do yoga every day. I've been doing yoga for almost 5 years. I
Wow.
do it at home in the morning because I have to move that energy too. I know that's important to move my body. Plus, my dad was type 2 diabetic, and that's a part of it too, is like I wasn't shown, my dad didn't show me to live a very healthy lifestyle. Um, so I've kind of adapted my own lifestyle to keep healthy so that I could, you know, show
Mm-hmm.
my son too that we're a healthy family. We need to, keep moving. And he does it. Yes, he's out all the time. He does skateboarding, so he's out all the time skateboarding, and I'm so happy he does that because he's moving his body and moving his energy with him not really knowing or understanding that.
100%.
So
And outside. God, I love that.
yeah.
And I just yeah, I love that. It's like you're really what's coming up for me is everything you're doing, like yoga every day, charm casting, studying, consciousness and having just this amazing mind. All of these experiences are really going to come to head because I'm sure you've learned so much through all of this
Hmm.
that people could learn from. And it's not easy to do all these things every day and to have the devotion to be able to do it, but you knew like I have to be able to. And that's what that Sag is. It's like you are embodying the philosophical things like yoga and astrology, and you're learning all these things because you're devoted and understand that this is how energy works.
Yeah. And I also learned about human design as well. I know you're familiar,
Yeah.
but I'm a 3/6 emotional manifesting generator. And with the 3/6, like during the first, before your Saturn return, you're acting like a 3/3 or like martyr mode, kind of like I'm the victim. And then as you get towards your next Saturn return, you're like they say you're on the roof and then you step into that role model energy that you're supposed to like, share.
Mhm.
So that's also interesting too, that aspect. So I know like right now I'm just gathering all the information so I can move that energy into something else.
Yeah. Oh, well, I love that you just mentioned Saturn because I'm like, okay, Saturn. He's like, can you talk about me already? Um, I love Saturn. Okay, so your Saturn is in the second house and it's on your south node. So I'm just going to talk about Saturn in Scorpio second house, and then we're going to layer it with your south node. So
Okay.
just having Saturn in Scorpio, I want you to think about wherever your Saturn is in your birth chart is where we're restricted for the first 30 years. So like with human design, you really did feel victim. And most people do before their Saturn returns, but with yeah, I get it because I'm a 2/6. So I'm like, yes, the moment my Saturn returned, I was like, whoa, like this is such a different energy than the first 30 years. So with it being in Scorpio, you actually had very deep, intense motions that might have actually freaked you out. Like you had this ability to understand other people so deeply very early on that again,
Mhm.
you might have been like, no, like this is unsafe, or you got in trouble for it, or there was this power dynamic. I'm curious for you, like walking up to someone or a parent, like this ability to psychoanalyze someone before you even knew you were psychoanalyzing people.
Yeah, no, no, that's so true. When I was younger, and I didn't know what an old soul was when I was younger, but I felt in that energy. Like my dad, he was very much into debt. He's a single parent raising four kids, poor
Mhm.
man. Um, he he just wanted to give all he could to his kids. And it makes me emotional thinking about my dad, but like he
Yeah.
did so much, but he was always trying to give too much too. um
Yeah.
and I would see that you'd be like, let's go out to lunch, let's go to dinner. And for me as a kid, I'm like, no, I got to watch my dad's wallet. I don't want him to spend all that money because he doesn't have a lot, and he's
Mhm.
trying to like, give us the best childhood we could have. But
Mhm.
it was just like, for me, I felt guilty taking anything really from him. It took a lot for me to like say like I need this, especially going through like puberty as a kid with my dad there, like and my sister, but like still it was just difficult to like ask for
Yeah.
anything. Um so I felt that. I really felt that as a kid. Yes.
Mm.
Sorry, I'm getting emotional.
No, apologies. Absolutely. And like, I'm just thinking about how it's in your second house around
Yeah.
resources and money and like just the obvious restriction of having a single dad, but also you taking that,
Yeah.
feeling that, understanding that at such a young age,
Yeah.
that depth that you had as a kid goes far beyond many.
Yeah. My dad even, he noticed I was a sensitive. He could tell. Like my other siblings were into sports and stuff. I had no interest in that. I was like uh I was a young kid like talking to my dad about interpreting my dreams. Like he got me a dream book when I was younger. He like get me these, he got me my first little tarot deck when I was like a young girl too. Like he
Oh,
noticed. He noticed. I was just like,
oh my God. I have goosebumps. Your father is
I do too.
that
I
is
think about these
amazing.
things as he noticed that I was a sensitive kid. He knew it. So,
And what's so like I'm looking at your chart and your Pluto trines your moon, which when Pluto touches the moon in general, there's an intensity about someone's emotions. Like and it creates someone to feel them. So even though you're Pisces
mhm,
moon, there's an intensity behind what you feel, but it's a
mhm,
trine. And so it's this really beautiful um ability to not just intuitively sense. That's what Pisces is. It's like I'm sensing energy. With that Pluto, you're like creating that sense into meaning and and that is why you are so powerful and so strong and like that's like the fourth thing that I'm like, "Oh my god, that's why you are so intuitive." And your father was like, "I see that," which there's two rules of thoughts. Some people feel like Saturn is the father. Some people feel like the sun is the father. I've gone in many different astrology courses and everyone teaches it differently.
Yeah.
I like to talk to the client to see how does your father manifest, and for like the way you just described that, like it being on your south node, to loop your south node in, there was this karmic link with Saturn. And I'm wondering if it's your father, because there's this level of he was your authority. He did guide you. He did show you. And internally, you also had this authority in a past life, and you were very Saturnian in a past life. And potentially, what can happen, because you can get stuck in that south node, same with the Saturn, is like, and it's in Scorpio, you actually may have felt that in this lifetime, this ability to, how do I want to say this? The ability to read people, but also this like, you almost felt that you needed other people to reflect back your power. And you're here to learn that you yourself are the most valuable thing you need. But with Saturn sitting on that south node, what can happen is you can get really hard on yourself, and you can feel and you can stay in spots and spaces too long. This is also probably why you felt like you didn't like need to be in partnership and stuff. Um because you almost outsourced your power. And the North Node in Taurus is saying, no, you're valued and you're worthy. And you don't have to prove anything to anyone, because innately you are spirit. But that Scorpio, because of whatever happened in a past, was like, but maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm damaged. Maybe I have something wrong with me, and this person's going to complete me, or this person's going to do X. And then Saturn's like, yep. Mm-hmm. So, and it's a kind of that really restrictive energy that you're here to break free of, and let Saturn be more so your ability to create structures to harness this power that maybe you outsourced. That was like a really long-winded way to get there.
I love it. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's your North Node's now in the eighth. So it's not just you. It's, I know my power. And because I trust myself now, because I value myself, I can now be in an intimate relationship. I can now let my soul merge with another soul because I know myself inside and out. And so just being with your partner for that long, I love that, because anyone can get married. That's the seventh house. It's contractual. It's like, okay, I'm
You're
married
right.
to you. Yeah.
Mhm.
But eighth house is our souls have merged, that union that really happens. And your North Node's there. That was a destined for you. You were destined, even if it felt so hard to fully release control and allow that to merge. Scorpio wanted it, but it did it in more of a toxic way. And that North Node integrated it to be more grounded.
Mhm. You know, as you say that, and I think that too, I'm like, some people don't understand the way that I think about marriage and partnership. It's just, it's so sacred to me. But it's been so broken i- in my family. Like
Mhm.
my parents split up, my mom's parents, they split up. My dad's parents split up. So I've had all
Mhm.
these in my family lineage of like broken marriages, and then it comes to me where I'm the only one out of the siblings that has a healthy relationship. Um, and I'm still together with my husband after almost 20 years. I mean, my husband's also a Taurus sun, Sagittarius rising, and a Virgo moon, so he really grounds me too.
Oh my
He's
God, a
like,
Sun North Node conjunction is everything. It's like you can't get away from each other because it just magnetizes it. I love that.
yeah.
And just what was his cap? What did you say his cap
So
was?
he's a
Oh,
Taurus sun,
okay,
a
Sun.
Virgo moon,
Okay.
and a Sagittarius rising.
Oh my God. And you have the rising sun. I love that. I was going to say, oh my God, because your Venus rules your North Node. So you're
Mhm.
that like long term, like if you're in a relationship, that is that loyalty that you
Yeah.
have. And you have a South Node Scorpio. So like you're the ride or die-ist of them all. And that makes sense with the South Node in Scorpio, is like maybe you never saw that. And maybe you felt like that early on in life, that's not possible. But then when you
Mhm.
moved into that North Node, and you're like, oh no, you can balance these, because you don't want to abandon that South Node, but you also want to integrate the North.
Yes. That's so
And
true.
so what can happen with the South, kind of think about resources a little bit.
Mhm.
You might not feel like you might feel like you have to rely on your partner for money or like that you can't actually do it. But you can. And there's this level of this talent because Taurus is like, what are your skills to create resources? Second house and Taurus
Mhm.
they mirror. And so to me, there's this level of eighth house, the occult. There's this level of eighth house is the shadow. It's the psyche house where we really transform a lot of our trauma. So if the 12th house was our deep, deep, deep unconscious, it's how we don't know what's going on in the 12th half of the time. This is how we self-sabotage without realizing we're self-sabotaging.
Mhm.
Which is like for you, Virgo. So potentially like being a little bit more chaotic or messy and like not having structure is like a way you might self sabotage. But the eighth house is like, you're like, no, my mom abandoned me. And no, I have like, you have these traumas in your shadow. And
Mhm.
this is the house that we alchemize. And so with a north node there, it's your journey to go deeply in your own psyche. But it's also, to me, your chart's reading how you're really going to create this longevity of resources for yourself because you're investing in the transformation of yourself and that will kickstart yourself because in the beginning you restrict money, Saturn's there, you didn't have a lot,
Mhm.
but if you
Mhm.
can alchemize all the shadow, your money's going to come to you, it's going to be mirroring.
Mm. Mm. That is, yeah. Right now, I'm actually, my husband, he has his own business, and I was working from home a couple of years ago, and I there was a mass layoff. I was working remotely, and I kept looking for jobs, and I was like, nothing is happening." And so my husband's like, "Well, why don't you just work with me? You can still work remotely. Just call after leads and just work from home, and you can do everything else that you want to do during the day." I'm like,
Dream.
"Yes, yes, okay." So that's what I do. I work very, very part time, and he jokes, he's like, "You're kind of semi-retired, aren't you?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah. Oh my god, and your 8th house is, like, your, partner's resources? So, like,
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, it's merged resources, but it's also signals your partner. So, like, that's so cool that
Mhm.
you work for your
Yeah. I
I mean,
always
it's
say I work with you. I don't work for you.
yeah, I was gonna say, well, it's both of you guys anyway. So, I mean, if what's yours is I get that because my husband's like, "I don't work for you." And I'm like, "Yes, you do, but you don't." Like, so I love this is so cool because we have reversed nodes and we both work with our spouses.
Oh my gosh.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. I
Wow.
love that. My north node's in Scorpio, and so it's interesting because you can see that with, like, your north nodes in your 8th working with your husband, where it was
Uh-huh.
kind of his thing and you're entering into it. My north node's in my 2nd, where I need to make the resources, but my husband's gonna help me because it's Scorpio. So, like, that's so cool.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. See how astrology is so freaking true? My
So true.
gosh.
The more I mean, just every year, it just solidifies, like, it's all written. It's just we get to choose how we wanna approach it. So
Yeah.
cool. So to kind of also just think a little bit more to round out just your natal chart, your 10th house, because people have been asking all the time, like, what's my soul purpose? What's my soul purpose? And so we touch on a few things in the sense of we can see that like you are gifted. Your 10th house is what you're supposed to be like known for. And it's this public role. And we attach it to career because oftentimes we're known publicly for our career. And it's in Cancer. So there is this level that you are very empathic. You are it's the nurture archetype, but in the sense of like you can support other people emotionally and understand how to walk in their shoes. You literally are going to be known for the fact people are going to be like, wow, you really understand. Even if you never experienced what they went through, they feel understood by you. And then you look to where the moon is, which is Pisces. And it's because not only do you have this empathetic ability to literally feel what they're feeling inside your body, you also have this intuitive ability to also channel spirit. So there's this beautiful mold because all water signs are intuitive because they're sensing emotions, but they all do it in a slightly different way. And because you have water in your 10th, 2nd, and 6th, and then in addition, you have so many planets here, including the ruler of your 10th, it's telling me that you are, again, supposed to be working with this ability to sense energy. this ability to understand people, to channel for people, and then communicate it in this very distinct way that they are seeing it from another perspective. Sun, Uranus, conjunction, Mercury, 29th degree. Are you like, does that make sense of how you
Mhm.
sense and then you communicate it in a new way?
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, the cogs are turning in my mind. Like, oh, what's my next step going to be?
Yeah.
But it's a very exciting time to kind
Yeah.
of just be in the unknown right now, and then it'll fall into place.
It will. And we're going to get to the transits right now because it absolutely will. And then you layer MC on that, right? So it's like,
Mm.
okay, so I know that I have the grand water trine happening. And so, and I know I'm able to teach people this really alternative perspective that's very grounded, that Capricorn stellium. Like you are very grounded in what you do, and you need to stay grounded, obviously, with your own energy. But then you layer in your MC, and it's like that layers over everything, and it's in your 11th. And so it could be
Mhm.
running groups, it could be social media. It's something where you are being seen by not just a dyad. It's not just like one on one, it is more group work. It is more classroom. It is more something like that. And your Libra rising is like people really respond well to you because, again, you're able to help them be seen. Now, transits wise, right now, with all this Aries, wait, is this today? March? Saturn's already at 4 degrees. It is moving through Aries.
Ooh.
Right now, you are meaning to really harness this Aries. I need you to think about over the next 2 months of being a little bit more direct, being a little bit more spicy. I mean, you already have a lot of Sag, but allowing yourself to kind of get in this new identity of like, no, this is who I am. A little bit more I'm feeling like you kind of owning more. Does that make sense? Like that energy shift?
Does. It does.
Okay. So I want you to focus on that. Especially with Neptune and Saturn here, because it is going to be facing off with your Libra. So Saturn's like, all right, like you got this. People want to hear from you. Like as much as it's great to talk about other people and people see that and like are seen by you, having an MC Leo and then having all this in Aries right now, it's like, but it's about you. So it's kind of bringing it back to you, which might feel uncomfortable even, but
Mhm.
it's needed right now.
Okay.
And then your Jupiter in the sky just went direct in your 10th. So when you're like,
Mm.
I don't know, I'm kind of in this like space. I'm like, yep, just give it a few more months because Jupiter is going to go all the way through your 10th, which is really around you realizing how do I want to be seen? This only happens every 12 years.
Mhm.
And then it's going to hit your MC. So it's going to expand in this July, whatever you're meant to be known for and seen for and that
Mm.
purpose, it's going to turn on this July. In addition to that, in this August, you're going to have a solar eclipse in your 11th. This new beginning that's fated. It's destined. You don't really have to do anything for it. It's ushering in this new experience. And again, that's going to be, it's far from your MC because the south nodes are going to be they go reverse, so it's going to be over here, but still it's happening in that 11th and it's a 2-year cycle. So over the next 2 years, you're going to know what that is, what that stage of that Leo you'll be performing on, whether it's a blogging, whether it's social media, again, whether it's a course, whatever it is, you're going to know through this eclipse cycle, which is why I'm so excited as it awakens it.
Wow. I'm so excited for this year because I feel like I've been just honing in everything right now, and just I've been forced to like relax, relax, taking the knowledge, taking the information, and just focus on resting. That's the message I keep getting. Past 2 years has just been the same, the same. That's why in the winter, when I feel like so stagnant, it's like, oh, it's so heavy. But now I feel like spring, something has definitely shifted, and it feels, I can definitely feel the energies so much brighter. And so I feel really hopeful for the next couple of months. So you just kind
Mhm.
of solidified that. So thank you.
Of course. And you felt that because Saturn's been in Pisces. And I will tell you, this new moon felt so different without
Mhm.
Saturn being there, and your moon has been there. And it's a really hard transit. I mean, it's this restrictive era, and truly it was. So people slowed down and listened to their intuition and not controlled. That's why that node has been in Virgo specifically in your 12th, it's been saying like you can't control things in this life. You need to allow that surrender, that flow of that moon, which is really your intuition, right? So
Mhm.
there's this massive up level. The north node just went over your moon, and Mercury is literally right there. And today it goes direct, literally basically right on your moon. And so there's this level of trust, but also understanding what's happening internally. It's like all the puzzle pieces are clicking because these long transits are moving and we're beginning a new cycle. So you can integrate everything you've learned over the last 2.5 years. And Mercury retrograde right now has been saying, okay, what else have you needed to look at, to clean out so that you can be clear on exactly what you want to be in service for, sixth house?
Mhm. Yes. I've been clearing quite a bit.
But
It has been a spring clean.
yeah. And the north node will be in your fifth house of creation. So that's why I'm like, as the south node hits the 11th and Jupiter will be there for a year and the eclipses are happening, the north node, where we're really moving towards, is in your fifth house of creation and your Mars is there. So it's like, if you can harness this, it's going to be, you're literally creating things that are different, that are alternative, that are innovative. That light you up, that are your passion, and you're going to birth it into this reality. And the solar eclipse February 17th were the seeds that were being planted for what that is going to be over the next 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a whole story here. I'm also like, oh my God, you're Pluto squaring Pluto right now. And that's a really interesting transit because it's like soul level tension of the things that you're clearing evolutionary things out of you, of like, whoa, I am the embodiment of Scorpio now, and I can use this Aquarian vision to merge. Squares are not bad, they're tensions. It's almost
Mhm.
like part of you are linked in the old society, and then this new innovative tech world, it's like bringing tension to that Scorpio energy for you. And it's
Mhm.
you learning how to integrate this new paradigm of Aquarius with this emotional ability of the Scorpio. Like this tension is intentional. Tension is intentional.
Wow.
Do you have questions?
I don't at the moment. You explained it so, so well. I love how you explained my chart, and it makes a lot of sense. Like, you've made me make sense.
Oh, I'm so glad. I love this. Oh my gosh. That's amazing. Well, thank you
I
for
know,
coming
thank
on
you.
here and
Yeah.
being vulnerable and letting me kind of read your soul to people. I really, really appreciate it. And just your support along the way and finally meeting you. It's been really fun.
Yeah. It's been so nice meeting with you and chatting with you. Thank you so much, and, like, I'm excited for next Friday to see who you read, and I wanna see their chart too. Like, astrology just excites me too, and
Yeah.
it's awesome to see someone as yourself, like, so good at this. Like, you're always meant to do this. I think you already knew that, but, like, you're really, really good at this.
I'm gonna cry. Thank you. Oh, thank you, thank you.
You're
And oh my
welcome.
gosh, my husband would kill me if I don't plug. Today I'm actually like finally launching, well, Monday, a new cohort for my course. And so it's not just a course this time around. I'm really going to be, yes, you get the lectures, yes, you're learning astrology, but we're processing it as you go. So, like you're saying, how you kind of learn things about yourself, I'm creating this space to then process it with everyone. So I just wanted to let everyone know, if you want to learn astrology like this, if you want to see how it can transform your life, that is what's doors open Monday. So,
Wow. Thanks,
yeah.
Lauren.
Thank you so much. And we'll talk soon. Have a good one. I'll send
You
this to
too.
you as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, of
Thanks,
course.
Lauren.